Hello, everybody, and welcome tonight to the Aegis Defenders League. We are going to have a fantastic game between Moan1rs and Glacial Commandos. I'm Nyarko, and here I'm with Big Tank tonight. Big Tank, what do you think about this matchup?
This is going to be an interesting one. It's a battle for that second place seed in the league. So definitely an interesting matchup with some big stakes on the line. We'll be interested to see what these teams are going to bring tonight. Should be a pretty even matchup. Excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, most definitely. We're going to be moving on into the draft in just a little bit, but I wanted to talk about some of the lanes and how they're going to be interacting with each other going forward. Obviously, from our scouting, we've seen some really cool picks there in that top lane, a lot of early game dominance attempts from the side of Moan1rs, but also Glacial Commandos up there with things like the Darius, also able to kind of pick and play for that early game fight. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of contestation, a lot of interaction there. What do you think that's going to look like, and how do you think that's going to radiate to the rest of the map?
So there's two very different top lane philosophies for these two teams. The Moaners are definitely a playthrough top lane kind of team. They're playing strong champs, Silas, Renekton, Camille, champs that really want to take over the game and bring that pressure across the map. Whereas on the side of Glacial Commander, they're playing a lot of more weak side champions. You're playing stuff like Tom Kench, you're playing Gnar, you're playing Trundles, stuff that's totally fine to just be left alone on the top side of the map in some of these 1v1, 1v2 situations and just suffer through this pressure in the early game and try to survive and bring value to the team fight later on. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams' different styles are going to match up when they're trying to do very different things in the top lane. But it's going to definitely be more of a, if you're looking for carries for the side of Moaners, you're probably going to be looking, or not on the side of Moaners, but on the side of Glacial, you're going to be looking more towards the mid lane here, where they're definitely playing through a stronger mid. They're playing Corky Zillion, they're playing Akali's, these big carry mid laners. So definitely it's more of a carry through mid style, carrying through their big two carries on the bot side and leaving top lane more alone on that island. But it will be interesting to see how they play it out and what's going to happen. But that's just to be determined, I guess.
Yeah, my apologies there. A little bit of technical difficulties on my side. The internet going down, but I am back, and it looks like we are beginning to move on into those pick and ban phases. Moan1rs going with an early ban of that Janna, and meanwhile, Glacial Commandos answering right back with the Xin Zhao. What do you think that these bans, especially these support-focused bans with the Zillion coming out from Moan1rs, kinds of means for their early picks within this comp?
So Glacial Commander has definitely been playing some more supportive in the mid lane. They've had games of Corky, or not Corky, of Zillion that they've played before. So definitely respecting that more enchantery mid lane setup. On the side of Moaners, they're banning out these aggressive junglers in Xin Zhao, one of the best picks in competitive right now, and also this scaling ADC in Vayne, and some mid lane pressure through this Akali. So definitely trying to prevent some mid lane carry potential from this mid lane. So we'll see how they transition that into their picks, what they want to make happen with that. And Zeri, definitely a strong ADC. So interesting to see what they want to pair with that.
Yeah, definitely. Zeri also notably something that you can flex into the top lane. We've been seeing that Triforce Bruiser-ish build coming out from her and still doing wonders even after a few nerfs. We also, from Glacial Commandos, have been seeing that ability to move towards flex picks, and it'll be interesting to see with these first three selections at hand if they're going to also go for one of those flexible routes. Maokai kind of flowing in with that. We can see them in the support role, can see them in the top lane, and it'll be cool to see if they continue on with kind of obfuscating where these champions are going to be going as we go deeper into the draft.
Yeah. Now, the only time Glacial Commanders have played the Maokai, it has ended up down in the support role. So definitely, if you're looking for somewhere to expect that champion to end up, probably going to end up down in the support position in the hands of Charm, as they're unlocking the Kai'Sa as well. So definitely a good combo, lock somebody down, let Kai'Sa stack her passive onto it, lead with that CC, get that 5 stacks off. So definitely a strong way to set up your bot lane, but leaving a little bit of draft versatility with the possibility flexing Maokai top lane into a good matchup is definitely something, a strong piece to have in your early game draft.
Yeah, and a Kaisa coming out as the second selection from the Glacial Commandos. Blue's still waiting on a pick here, and it looks like they're going to be going with the Silas, most likely into the mid lane, but also a champion that you can see into the top lane, keeping those spots open and keeping that uncertainty on the line as Glacial Commandos and Moan1rs look to round out these first few picks.
Yeah, Silas is a champion that both Crusader and Putney, the top and mid laners for Moan1rs, both play in solo queue a decent amount. So definitely a great flex pick for them as they're going to lock the Thresh in with the Zeri, which is a great pairing. Gives Zeri a little bit more sustain and protection through the lane. Gives her a great engage tool as she starts to go in, starting around level 6 when she gets that big ultimate. So definitely a great way to pair that Zeri up in that bottom lane. And gonna be interested to see what Glacial wants to pick up, what they want to see to do against this mid lane.
All right, and that Aurelia coming through. We're now moving on into the second wave of bans. Some of these selections so far definitely pretty interesting and leading to some really cool team comps where you have solid amounts of engage coming through from the Thresh. Maokai, obviously, with that ultimate, also able to initiate some really interesting fights and kind of split up and force a scattering of Moan's side. So, right now, we're going to be seeing the Poppy ban coming through. Glacial obviously looking to kind of push back against any of the junglers that Moan1rs could pick. Notably, Poppy also can be one of those flex picks that goes into the top lane, and that ban also covers a selection from there. Moan1rs, what are they going to answer back with?
I mean, interested to see. Poppy's a great ban for the side of Glacial as they have a lot of champion with dashes that they don't really want to get canceled. So Irelia on the Blade Surge being having that canceled, Kaisa Ultimate, Maokai all being canceled by the Steadfast Presence would be terrible as the game goes on. So definitely a smart ban on that position. Diana is just an extra piece in this Wombo combo. You launch forward with Irelia, you come in with the Diana ulti, grouping anybody up who's been slowed, and you just create a huge area where Kaisa and any other champions come swooping into the middle of.
Definitely. Diana, an absolute terror in solo queue for a few patches now. And speaking of terrors in solo queue, we get the Camille banned out, one of those top lane champs that is constantly seen and constantly contested in higher levels of play. That is not someone that you want to be facing up there in that top lane. And the ability for Glacial Commandos to use that last spot, get that removed from the game, is going to allow for them to rest a little bit easier and kind of be more flexible with their selections, especially if they want to choose to put the Aurelia into mid or top.
Yeah, definitely opens the draft up as the Hecarim gets banned once again against Glacial. They have had that champion banned against them 4 times out of 6 games now into the 7th game here. So definitely something they are respecting from the side of Moan1rs. This is a champion that can definitely take over games if it gets far enough ahead. And now we'll start to see the Glacial comp start to fall into place. We're going to start to see where some of these champions are going to end up, what some of these picks are going to be end up playing as Kha'Zix, going to still leave lots of versatility open to allow Irelia and Maokai to move around, just locking in that jungle, leaving the potential top mid flex still wide open.
Definitely. And Kha'Zix has been a perennially strong pick, especially in high elo for a while now. But I think this might be the first time that I've personally seen it in this more competitive, more coordinated style of play. Kha'Zix obviously thriving in the chaos of the solo queue environment. And here's a selection that's much more familiar to this high level play that we see from the Aegis defenders, that Jarvan the 4 coming through for the side of Moan1rs. Just a classic early game engaged champ with the ability to lock down single targets and cause a lot of discord within team fights. How do you think that this matchup in the jungle is going to affect the way that Glacial Commandos and Moan1rs go at it tonight?
Now, Kha'Zix is one of those champions that, yes, thrives in the chaos and wants to find those, isolated picks. But Jarvan into this comp doesn't do a whole lot, especially Cataclysm is going to be very hard to get on an effective target. Irelia, Kha'Zix, Kaisa, even Maokai, all champions locked in have a way to dash out of that box. So it'll be interesting to see how they really want to play around that ability to get out of the Cataclysm pretty easily. So will be interesting to see. Vex, though, does give them a bit of an option to sort of punish these escape tools, but it looks like it will be the Urgot as the last pick, and it will be Irelia in the mid and Maokai going bottom. So a lot of AD coming from the side of Glacial.
Yeah, most definitely. Kaisa obviously does have the ability to be built AP, especially in recent patches. We have been seeing that develop throughout the meta. But for the time being, it does look like Moan1rs is going to have a little bit more balance, especially with that Silas and that Vex, both providing fantastic sources of magic damage as the game progresses. We got a lot of cool matchups here, assuming that things stay about the same and stay pretty standard. We're probably going to be seeing Silas there in that top lane against the Urgot. How do you think that that kind of echoes what we were talking about earlier on in regards to Glacial Commandos kind of taking that weak side, playing a little bit more defensively there in that top lane? Meanwhile, Silas definitely a champion that wants to snowball early.
Yeah, Silas is definitely a champion. They want to get going. They want to get him through that early lane phase. Urgot going to have that range advantage early, so want to bring Jarvan up there, probably do a bot lane 3 clamp clear into the top side, gank up the top side, try to get some pressure off of Silas so he can start to scale, start to get those couple of items in, and make sure that he is able to go on that front. And Urgot, just one of those champions that brings a lot of tools, even if he's a little behind. He brings that 25% HP execute. He brings, a nice tanky body and lots of CC through his E and that slow on Q. So lots of tools, even when the Urgot's behind, is going to be brought from Stripes on this Urgot. So definitely a great play to just weak side on the top side and play through your Irelia Kaisa on the rest of the map.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that that'll definitely be a place for us to watch, especially as the game progresses on. But another matchup that I think we have to talk about here is going to be Putney versus Haitani there in the mid lane. Vex, kind of known as the anti-dash champion and designed as such, against one of the classic dashers within League of Legends here with the Irelia. How do you think Haitani is going to be able to kind of handle the kit that Vex has and deal with this longer range caster style champion?
I think this is a great pick by Moan1rs. They're definitely playing to the strengths of Vex, getting that empowered auto attack whenever Irelia goes to use Blade Surge. Definitely going to give her an early advantage in that lane. Just gonna be a question of where her Kha'Zix is gonna path. How quickly can he find a Vex that's overextended, doesn't have a summoner spell maybe, or is just too far away for the summoner to matter? Irelia gets a good engage. Kha'Zix is able to follow up, and they're able to burn the summoner, get a kill. If Irelia can start to snowball, get to that Bork ahead of schedule before Vex can really start to come online, Irelia is going to snowball that lane. It's not going to matter that there's extra powered auto attacks are there. Irelia can just take over that lane. Vex just needing to keep it calm, try not to die to ganks, try to keep herself in that lane, and try to keep the Irelia from be turning into an absolute monster.
Yep, definitely a champion that could snowball. And as you were talking about before, Haitani, a highlight on the team for Glacial Commandos, definitely has the ability to carry those games through the mid lane. But I just kind of wanted to continue to move down the map, as it were, and go to this interesting support matchup. Maokai, not really something that you've been seeing in the support role in more recent patches, has kind of taken on that role as a pretty boring kind of tank top laner. Do you think that this Maokai choice here will at all be effective against a champion that has such strong engage as Thresh? Obviously, hooking and playing a Maokai is not really what you want to be doing with your time, but also at the same time, I'm not sure how Maokai is really going to be able to push back against the threat of this bot lane. Zeri, obviously, a really strong terror, especially once you get to level 6 and have that ultimate ready.
Yeah, so Maokai is a great way to soak up these skill shots from the Thresh and soak up some of the autos from Zeri, and that Q spam auto is going to be great at soaking those up as he starts to come a little bit more online, have some items under his belt. But in the early game, or in the later early into mid game, he's going to provide some point and click engage. Once you get Maokai clicks on you, he is coming to you. You are getting rooted. You are going to then probably be knocked back, and if he wants to ult you, you're going to be rooted again. So it's going to provide them that quick snap engage onto potential targets that have been who step up too far from their team, who are warding where they shouldn't be. And if there's a Kaisa or an Irelia or heaven forbid a Kha'Zix in that bush, you're just one misstep away from going back to the fountain with that gray screen.
Yeah, definitely. Moan1rs going to have to play carefully here. Vision control most definitely going to be at a premium for both teams, given the fact that their comms have the ability and propensity, in fact, to pick off unsuspecting members. As we said before, there are a lot of dashes and ways for Jarvan's Cataclysm to kind of go wrong. But if it is the case that he is piled on a bush with a Thresh, with a Silas, something like that, you are still going to have a bad time face checking right there. That's for sure. For those of you just joining us, we are about to head into game one. We are in the Aegis Defenders League with Moan1rs on the blue side versus Glacial Commandos on the red side. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Defenders League. Today, we have this fantastic game between Moan1rs and Glacial Commandos started, and already we got a little bit of action as 3 on the side of Commandos going to come in, going to get the flash away from the Jarvan, dropping the flag right there, but no re-engage. You definitely want to be seeing that as a Glacial Commandos fan going forward. Big Tank, what do you think we're going to be seeing out of these first few levels?
Oh, definitely that early game aggression from Glacial is something they're going to want to continue. This Kha'Zix loves to get lots of kills early, so burning that flash early is going to reduce Jarvan's ability to really make some early plays, reduces that gank threat. Once he does that 3-camp start, probably we'll see more of a full clear style from him, but we'll have to see how he wants to play that out. But Kha'Zix, probably wanting to find those ganks early and often, and on the side of the Moan1rs, they want to slow down the pace of the game, allow Zeri to scale, allow Vex to scale, allow Sylas to scale, and allow these champions to sort of come into that, 1-2 item spike.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like we're getting a bit of variance here in terms of how we're clearing, both champions deciding to start on their blue buffs, meaning that we're getting this big Omega leash from the bot side of the map for Glacial Commandos. And we got a little bit of a bush camp going through here. There's a few auto attacks, and that Flay gonna land already. Maker down a little bit of health, nearly at half, but look at this, some of that health and damage being traded back onto Kingsland down there. So both people are going to have to walk into lane, popping a few potions, just trying to get something going on either side. But the fact that that damage went down onto Maker rather than the support on the side of Glacial Commandos means that Moan1rs probably has the ability to go for a push advantage here.
And it also means they're going to have that early XP advantage. The Glacial side is zoned off the first three melee minions of that wave, meaning they will hit that level 2 later than the side of Moan1rs. So they are going to have an early push advantage just from the strength of being level 2 first. So the Glacial has to respect that level advantage, has to sort of back off the wave, and using up those potions was a 3-potion start from Kai'Sa, so had to give a bit more respect. Does have the extra healing though, so should be able to heal through just fine and clean up what's left of these waves, but definitely going to lose the push early on.
Yeah, Jarvan beginning to now move to the bot side of the map, and look at this, Death Sentence going to come out. That's going to be a lot of damage going on to Maokai. Ignite also being popped from Kingsland here. That is going to continue to put that pressure down onto the bot side of the map right here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we're kind of seeing what we were talking about before. Putney getting that early push advantage up against the Aurelia, getting that first wave, trying to get it crashed in, and Kha'Zix over here getting that ward cleared off. Probably not going to be able to gank as Putney begins to move towards that bot side of the lane.
Yep, definitely respecting the move here, but those bot lane summoner spells being used early, especially that exhaust from Maker, is definitely going to make that lane a lot more susceptible to plays after this Kha'Zix finishes that first clear. So definitely want to look down for some action in the bot lane as the game progresses. Mid lane probably going to be a little bit more of a farm fest as these champions want to hit those first couple of components before they really start to get anything too crazy going. So we'll see how those play out as Kha'Zix moves to the mid lane.
Yeah, Kha'Zix in the area now going to force Putney back, but not really forcing out any summoner spells. Not too much damage going onto the Vex either there. But now in the bot lane, we have Pod sitting there in the bush going for a kind of a lane gank against this already a little bit battered side from Glacial Commandos there. It'll be interesting to see if anything will be set up. Meanwhile, it looks like we're going to be getting a back out of trash. Actually, no, moving down there as well. Sensing that there might be a play on that bot side. There's a stun going on to Putney in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Haitani going to get some damage traded back onto them. Just going to kind of dash back to the wave right here. Putney kind of happy to let that come towards them and just clear up a little bit of health. And now look at this. Trash going to show on the bot side of the map here. Maybe just looking to help go for a clean push and allow for a backing for Maker and Charm there in the bot side.
Yeah, definitely wanting to help get that wave in so they can get that back off as Jarvan comes through on the mid lane. Flash gonna be the price of that early aggression.
Yeah, most definitely. Crusader up here getting a pretty big wave, crash into Urgot, that kind of lane dominant style that you pointed out, Big Tank, definitely coming through there on that top side of the map. He's going to go get for a cheater recall here, and we'll see how he begins to itemize this early on.
Ooh, this call pickup pretty interesting. From the Sylas, he's basically picking up all the starter items he can find himself with here, really, as he picks up the Dark Seal as well. And will just allow him to continue to grow any sort of lead he can create. Going to be able to turn that CS into just more and more value. Urgot also having a cull, having taken down about 20 stacks on it already. So it's just going to be looking like they're going to trade up a farm fest in the top lane. So interesting to see if anyone's going to come to break up the farming top laners, or if this is just going to be two bros just getting to farm it out in the top lane.
Yeah, and it looks like we got Stripes and Charm kind of both paying their visits, paying their respects to the top side of the map for Glacial Commandos there, just trying to find some little bit of vision, catch that Jarvan out from Moan1rs. And for the time being, it's all looking pretty stable. No lane too far pushed up that looks like it's immediately calling out for a gank, but notably that Infernal Drake there already spawned, ready to go. It'll be interesting to see how things develop as players begin to look for that neutral objective.
It seems to be the bot lane push is very constantly in the hand of the Glacial Commanders. So definitely something that Kazakhs may be looking forward to as they have this bot lane push. Kazakhs on the opposite side of the map as the hook comes down.
Yeah, that's a big flay, gonna force the flash out of Charm right there. Play worse in the area, and Pod as well, going to keep catching out that Maokai. Maokai obviously pretty tanky here, but not tanky enough. That's going to be First Blood going over to Play Worse and the Moan1rs. Now on the top side of the map, Stripes looking maybe to play for a bit of engage here as Trash also comes into the area. Crusader having to walk back towards that tower right there.
Yeah, definitely a good escape by Crusader, but that play early on the bot side for Moan1rs is definitely what you want to see. Zeri excels in games where she gets to be ahead early. Her weakest part of the game is that early laning phase where she's very vulnerable. She has long cooldowns on her big abilities and isn't really going to do a whole lot of damage. Now she has Sheen. Now she has a bit of damage, and with that kill is going to be starting to accelerate that gold into the top lane. Oh dear goodness.
Yeah, there's a little bit of flip coming out, and look at this. We have Trash right back into the area, gonna get sucked in. Stripes gonna get that kill down onto Silas. That is the first ultimate of the game for Urgot, and that is the first feeding that we see. Urgot getting that kill, going to be able to push this wave in back, and we'll see how they itemize as well.
Yeah, this is a bit of a flip in what you'd be normally expecting. Normally it's a lot more attention from the Moan1rs towards that top side, and the Glacial Commanders trying to play a weak side top, but it looks like once the play was made to the bottom side, the Glacial Commanders looking for their opportunity to strike back and find it in the regank top side, puts a little gold into Urgot, allows Urgot to take control of that wave, push that in, picks up some very nice items, especially the Executioners to counter the Silas W healing, with the Seeker's Arm Guard coming out as well from Silas. Ooh, that death sentence could be interesting though.
Yeah, that is a big hook that's coming out from King's Land here. Charm gonna have to use that Blast Plant trying to get away here, but given the fact that they're on such low life, I don't think that this run is going to go for too much longer. We have Haitani moving from the mid lane down, but Pod is going to be using that Cataclysm to shut down that Maokai once more. And now look at this, moving S3, they're going back through the bot side, and it looks like they'll be splitting up there in the river, kind of waving goodbye to one another, but I'm sure that Pod will be reunited with Play Worse and a King's Land at some point soon.
Oh yes, it looks like they have their bot lane running at full steam. They're able to pick up that Infernal Dragon as well, so they will have lots of reason to keep coming back to this bottom side, get this Zuri ahead, keep this Jarvan chugging along. But on the top side, Urgot is starting to claw back some of the CS deficit with that kill. Gonna have, oh my goodness, more hook action, but it looks like not much will come from that. But now it's just, slowing down the pace of play. If you're on the side of Glacial, you just want to not keep getting this Zeri engine going, trying to maybe find your own plays on the top side, which have seemed to be quite successful. And if you're Moan1rs, you're just trying to keep that bot lane train running.
Yeah, Putney, meanwhile, fighting here a little bit. Haitani gonna drop the ultimate and get the solo kill down onto the mid lane, or evening up the score. It is now 2-2. A 1k gold lead, though, notably beginning to open up on the side of Moan1rs. They definitely are putting that gold onto the right people early as well. Zeri getting that early kill alongside the Jarvan, just going to allow for continuous snowball and pressure of the bot lane. But also at the same time, it's always nice to get Putney out of the picture early. He's the highest ranked player on the side of the Moan1rs, and as we said before, Haitani really likes to be playing as a carry for the role of Glacial Commandos, so it'll be interesting to see how they can leverage this kill and the slight gold advantage in the mid lane.
Definitely good to get your carry ahead in the early game, so definitely want to see how they will play out this lead as they're going to move down to the bottom here. Little trouble with that lantern, but nothing too major.
Yeah, you want to use Zeri's fun wall ride abilities, right? Why do you want to use a stinky old lantern?
Oh, lantern's been in the game too long. Why would we want to use that ability?
Yeah, definitely. But I guess we get to see both showcased right there. Stripes, meanwhile, looking to interrupt the back right here, continuously harassing the Silas. There is still that CS gap we were talking about before, but it looks like we're also getting some action in the mid lane here. Haitani just getting poked down. Putney, undeterred by that early fight, just still able to put on the damage. But look at this. Crusader may be a bit too far forward. Urgot really wants to keep that wave in XP to themselves there in that top lane. And look at that, another interrupted back. It almost feels like we might be seeing Crusader trying to go for some sort of bait or something right there, backing so close to the Urgot.
Yeah, but it looks like Stripes is actually potentially going to get a freeze up in this top lane. And if he can set up a nice freeze, he's not going to need any more jungle attention. He's going to really free up Trash to move around the map and try to make something happen for this Aurelia, try to stabilize the bot lane. You know, gives themselves a lot of options to sort of slow down this, you know, snowballing Zeri plays. So if they can get a nice, you know, control of that wave on the top side, will allow them to make more plays around the rest of the map.
Yep, and we're seeing the classic 1v1 while the supports are away there in that bot side. Charm and Kingsland both deciding that that bot lane not really worth their time. They're more interested in all these goings on in the mid lane. And it looks like right now Pod's going to start invading the bot side jungle of the Moan1rs here, kind of with Thresh there to back them up.
Yeah, definitely a interesting bit of movement around. Looks like Kingsland will be on his way back to the bottom side to hover the Zeri, make sure there will be no engage. Asavage is going to get cleared out potentially. No, just not going to actually be able to find that control ward, so will not be able to clear out the vision. But just some CSing back and forth. But early CS leads seem to be overall favoring the side of the Moan1rs, as they have solid CS leads in both the top and bottom lanes. A slight CS lead in jungle, and a Herald dropped in the top lane.
Yeah, it looks like Trash maybe trying to go for the dive right there, but immediately going to be traded back onto with Crusader. That's a lot of damage. Going to be stealing that ultimate, and nom nom nom. You get that grind right back onto the side of Silas. Now, 1 and 1 up there. That dive definitely not going in favor of the Glacial Commandos right there. Trash a little bit too far forward, but now we got action in the bot lane. Putney gonna come in, have that ultimate, going to take down Kai'Sa really early on. Charm gonna have to run back, but look at that reset. That's gonna be more damage with the Ignite coming out, and a double kill going over to Putney there. That is a large damage and a large amount of advantage being pushed over to the side of the Moan1rs right there. The fact they also managed to secure that second dragon means that they're beginning to stack these neutral objectives and beginning to widen out that gold lead.
Yeah, this is definitely what you want to see if you're on the side of Moan1rs. You have a great win condition through Soul. Ocean Soul is a great way to play, especially with Zeri. You're going to get lots of procs of that healing, that mana regen. You're going to be feeling great on that champion. And all of these, you know, small wins, they win on both sides of the map, right? You get, yes, you lose some turret plate gold to the Herald, but, you know, an early Herald is basically a 2 guaranteed plate play anyways. So you've just, you know, gotten that trade, and you trade back a kill. You're definitely happy with the state of affairs here.
Yeah, most definitely. Charm, unfortunately, not really able to act as a brick wall. Maker being caught out too late in that bot lane means that that tower is also going to be going over to the side of the Moan1rs. That's definitely another bit of joy. Sure, you lost some of those plays in the top side, but look at how much gold that Zeri's sitting on. Look at that CS gap as well down there in the bot lane. They can kind of rest easy, play a little bit more passive here in the top side, and still most definitely enjoy the fruits of their labor for the Moan1rs.
Yeah, definitely going to see that gold lead continuing to be a factor, as they have the gold on those champions they really want them on, as Jarvan might find himself in a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah, Pod was trying to go for something mid lane, gonna have to jump right back out of there. And look at this, now we're getting some drama on the top side. Stripes going pretty low, trying to dash back towards tower. That Ignite, though, is gonna be too much, and Plaguehorse is gonna lock him down. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Haitani having to move back towards tower, jumping right back into the Cataclysm, though. Putney on a killing spree now, and look at this, they're gonna continue that fight. Charm just too far forward, and a double kill going over to Putney once again. That Vex getting very, very fed, and a triple kill now. They're gonna be going for the Quadra. Kha'Zix being forced back to the tower. Putney, meanwhile, too low, going to have to walk away, but securing more kills for the Moan1rs and a further advantage. That is definitely not what you want to see as the Glacial Commandos.
Yeah, it's a 3,000 gold lead, a growth of 2k on the lead is the reward here from this play from the Moan1rs. They're also going to have a lot of gold centralized into those carries. Vex with that triple kill is now super wealthy. not only finishing off has the mid fix, but now has a needlessly large rod in the inventory as well. Definitely going to be bringing lots of pain. Zeri, now having the Triforce completed, is going to be this huge team fight champion. You know, even once you hit Triforce, you start to bring the damage, bring the pain. So it will be great to see how that champion can play through this, you know, growing strength that they get into that mid game. And will be interesting to see what the side of Glacial Commandos wants to do to sort of claw their way back into this, try to make some plays that can bring the gold lead a little closer, and try to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, most definitely. We got dragon spawning in a little bit less than 2 minutes here. If a third one goes over to the side of Moan1rs and they go up to a soul point, that'll definitely be a concern for the side of Glacial Commandos. And the top side of the map, we saw the Everfrost come out from Putney, just getting a little bit of damage down onto Stripes and trying to save this dwindling topside tower on the side of the Moan1rs. But now look at this, Trash in the area, really wanting to get this shutdown onto Putney. Putney going to be jumped on. Look at this, getting a lot of damage down, but not going to be enough. Trash going to probably get out there with their lives, and look at that. That is a crucial shutdown that you were just talking about, going over to the side of the Glacial Commandos.
Yeah, these are what you're gonna have to look for if you want to claw your way back into this game. Look for those nice bounties to really put gold onto these champions that are going to try and open up the game for you. Kozak is a great champion to put some gold on in this earlier steps of the mid game, and he can really open up the map. He can find picks to help feed the Irelia, feed the Kaisa, try to make these carry champions have more options by giving them kills, getting them self kills, and really shut down this Vex, shut down this Zeri from really being able to take over the game.
Yeah, and we're beginning to see that coalescing towards the bot side of the map. Everyone backing, realizing that fight's about to be had on either side. Moan1rs really wanting to go up to Soul Point here so early on into the game. They've basically been taking the last two dragons on cooldown, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not Glacial Commandos even has the willpower or the ability and confidence to even contest this Drake. Instead, it looks like we're seeing Trash and Charm both move toward the top side of the map to help the Urgot in taking the Rift Herald.
Yeah, this is one of those things where if you don't have that strength to contest, you're going to try and trade it for something else. And Herald looks like a pretty fine trade. It can open up some of this standing gold through some of either the mid or bot tower, so they can try to bring the gold lead a little bit more to parity. It's not soul, it's just soul point. Definitely means they're going to have to fight in 5 minutes around this soul dragon and try to make something happen. But that means you have 5 minutes to find as much gold as possible. Look under those couch cushions, find some more gold, and try to bring your best team fight in 5 minutes.
Yeah, most definitely. We are also beginning to see the influence that the towers have been having over the game. There's definitely a lot of priority on the side of Moan1rs here, having taken down a few more towers. The bot side and mid still standing very strong for the outers for that team, and therefore Commandos definitely a little bit on the back foot, but they do have, in turn, plenty of places to drop this Rift Herald. It'll be interesting to see where Kha'Zix begins to path as Play Wars and a King's Land try to pressure this mid-inner.
Yeah, definitely the safety of the Thresh really on display there, as the Thresh is able to stand out of the true engage range that there could ever be from Glacial, able to just give the Zeri the confidence to be able to play far up as she tries to make something happen in the mid lane.
Yeah, Charm right here definitely getting poked down pretty heavily. Gonna try to walk back forward again. They aren't even at a single item yet, so I don't think that tankiness is going to be doing them too much good. That death sentence almost hitting Charm right there could have spelled disaster for the side of Glacial Commandos. But look at this now, Trash in the area, and Putney also going to be coming in. Look at that damage coming through, riding over the wall. Zeri's gonna help the Putney take down that last champion, and now look at this, Charm all caught out once more. Look at this, there's a clash down from the side of Crusader and the Moan1rs, and that is 2 kills going over to that team. They definitely aren't huffing copium in this one. Their icon is completely wrong.
Yeah, this is a huge lead now for Moan1rs. They have Zeri on that 2-item spike, going to be doing tons of damage to anybody who walks anywhere near this Zeri. Unless they're able to get a Kha'Zix right on top of her, quickly get a kill, it's going to spell doom for anybody who ends up in her path.
Yeah, Flash trying to come out from Kingsland here, trying to get something done, but the Kaisa going to go down regardless. That Lantern play that we've been seeing, the coordination between Playwars and the Kingsland, seemed to have been tested out a little bit in the base right there when we saw some confusion with the Lantern. But ever since, we've been seeing some incredible confidence coming from the ADC on the side of the Moan1rs, just able to always jump back towards that Lantern and make the big plays in the meantime. That's one more kill for the side of the Moan1rs.
Yeah, Moan1rs definitely picking apart the side of Glacial Commanders here, really starting to take over the map. Now, the next things you really want to see is an expansion of the vision line. Right now, the Moan1rs vision is just through the river. You need to start pushing those wards deeper into Glacial Commanders jungle, trying to find vision, clear out vision they have in the river, so you can start to set up around this dragon. You know, want to start creeping away any sort of path they could ever take into this objective, win the fight before it even starts.
Yeah, most definitely. And Charm right here trying to contest the fact that they are attempting to get vision around that Baron that is now spawned, but also at the same time you have to recognize that we're in that crucial 2-minute span before the dragon spawns, and that's also going to be a huge point of focus. The Glacial Commandos definitely down on gold now and going to probably struggle in this next team fight, but I think that there's also kind of a notion that they're going to have to try to fight out this last dragon. Giving 4 uncontested Drakes will just simply kind of be the straw that breaks the camel's back in this team fight.
Yeah, there is no world where you can just give Ocean for free. You need to, put your best foot forward, spend all your gold right before this play, and try to make something happen at this dragon fight. If you don't, you're just basically handshaking the game, saying, well, we want to just go to game 2. So would like to see them back right before, try to create some mid pressure, and then take their best possible fight at this dragon.
Definitely. RNG Maker there trying to contest that vision as well alongside Charm, just trying to make sure that they aren't going to try to sneak a Baron or anything. But now we're 50 seconds away. Trash trying to go down into that river right there. That death sentence is barely going to miss them. That could have been a disastrous overstep by the Glacial Commandos. But it looks like we're finally going to start getting our backs. There's a flash engage right there onto the Thresh. Kingsland too far forward now, and look at that. That is a crucial pick this close to the spawning of the Ocean Soul.
Now, the only thing is they use a lot of ultimates to get this pick. They are up the member, but they do commit a lot of abilities. So do they have enough left in the tank to contest the dragon? That is the question. They have members. They have that they need down here. They have more CC, but it's going to be a little pick on the side.
Yeah, there we go. Charm once again getting caught out right there. The damage is just too much. Even if it is the case you're a tank, you just can't withstand that force. And look at this now. They're beginning to split through the rest of the team. That's 2 more down on the side of Glacial Commandos. Trash gonna have to try to run away here. But Zeri just on fire. Pikachu coming through, getting 1 more kill, and effectively acing the team on the bot side of the map. Stripes trying to do as much as possible with the fact that there is so much focus there. But Putney and now the newly respawned Kingsland in the area means that they can't even get that tower top side.
Yeah, definitely. The initial engage looked good, but there were so many resources burned to make that happen. You burn the ultimate off Kaisa, you burn the ultimate of Irelia, and even the Kha'Zix ultimate burned there to try and get this pick, and it's only on the support. You don't take down any of their damage, you don't take out any of their real threats that you have on that side, and then when they turn around, they're ready to re-engage. They know that you've burned everything, and they just commit with what the tools they have left. They find their pick, they find their engage, and they're just able to win the team fight through this huge gold lead they've created. And it's, looking like with the Ocean Soul, they're going to pick up that Baron, and those outer turrets, those Nexus or inhibitor turrets, are not long for this world.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like the beginning of the end for Glacial Commandos. That Baron going entirely uncontested, showing the value of that vision control we were just talking about right before that Ocean Soul spawned. Haitani on the bot side of the map here, going to have to try to de-push these waves. The real big hope right now for Glacial Commandos seems to just be to turtle, try to make sure you can wave clear as well as possible and prevent too many of these inhibitors from going down in the next few minutes. How do you think Glacial Commandos is looking to get back into this game, Big Tank?
Oh, you have the very interesting combination. So with the Hullbreaker on Urgot, you in any sort of 1v1 matchup up there, you're going to probably be in a safe position. You're probably going to be fine as long as you can keep it a 1 versus 1 with nobody else around. So trying to play around that 4-1 style is probably how they want to slowly just farm waves into a potential Elder steal.
We are seeing something big here, though. Charm going to be dropping that ultimate down. Kingsland having to go golden, but look at how much damage Zeri does just alone. And now with Pod in the area, they're also going to be beginning to engage. Look at this now. They're beginning to move in with Putney and Silas as well. Putney coming through over the wall with that ultimate, and look at this. This is going to be an ace coming through for the side of Moan1rs. This is a disaster for Glacial Commandos.
Yeah, this is definitely not what you want to see. No real chance at a play after that, and this should mean that these inhibitor turrets are going to fall down. No wave in the mid lane will delay the push, but should mean that once these minions arrive, it's going to be melting towers, melting inhibitors. I don't... Going for the end is probably a bit risky. Their back times aren't that staggered, so it could end up being a 5v3 in the base, but it looks like they're gonna go for it. The Nexus is targeted, but it looks like it'll just be one turret. They're smart enough to respect the fact that there's gonna be more members of Glacial Commanders in this base before they're able to finish it off, and don't want to throw any potential chance at taking over this game.
Yeah, meanwhile, we see Crusader taking that split to the top side of the map, getting this turret down over here. Haitani trying to come to clean things up, but look at that utilization of the Everfrost, so effective on Silas, able to de-push and continue to allow Crusader to run back away from any huge threats. Meanwhile, over here, looks like they're going to try to maybe stop it back, but that empowered Baron just going to be too quick for Trash and Charm to do anything big.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Baron gives you lots of tools to sort of push out these waves, get these objectives that are just standing on the map, and then get out of there without too many repercussions. So definitely being utilized to its fullest extent by Moan1rs, as they're going to hand the blue over to Vex there to try and keep that mana pool nice and topped up. Urgot trying to make something happen in the bottom side, trying to farm up. Does have still dealing with the no mythic build, but the 3-item no mythic build definitely an interesting move as they're going to go on to Maokai here.
Yeah, another ultimate coming out from Charm here just to try to get away. That is a big ultimate that you're often going to need if you're going to be looking for picks as Glacial Commandos intends from here on out. Unfortunately, the fact that it has to be used in self-defense is going to be disaster. And look at this, Maker just basically getting melted by Play Wars in that mid lane. Absolutely no contestation. The ADCs just massively differentiated in terms of the amount of damage that they're putting out right now. Look at this as well. This bot side of the map, even without Baron getting heavily pressured, Stripes and Charm in the area. But once again, Charm without ultimate isn't able to provide too much of a threat. And as this turret goes down, they're just going to go right in once more. There comes a Cataclysm coming out. Stripes, obviously pretty tanky, but not tanky enough. There's Pod going on a killing spree with the help of Zeri, just mowing them down. Ultimate comes out here. Look at this. Haitani trying to do something by enclosing people with their own ultimate, and they're going to keep dashing around, but I don't think that that's going to be kept up for much longer, as there are now 4 members of the Moan1rs inside of the Glacial Commandos base with the wave at their back. One of the Nexus turrets already down. This is going to be a very, very tough fight for Trash and the remainders of the team. This last turret going down, everyone being chased back to Fountain. Kai'Sa trying to get as much damage as possible down onto people like Pod, but look at this. Zeri, still up at full health, is just going to be able to mow down that Nexus turret. First game going over to Moan1rs.
Yeah, definitely a solid victory from the Moan1rs, able to play out a very nice draft, able to pick up the Zeri on B1 and just absolutely give her everything she needs to take over a game. So definitely well executed by them.
Yeah, most definitely. We saw the whole game plan really come together for Moan1rs, utilizing the advantages that they pulled from that draft to come through and be very effective in team fights. We saw the individual prowess of players like Putney in the mid lane, like Stripes in the top lane, but with the coming in of some ganks on the side of Trash, I thought that we were going to see an equalization of the game state, but that roam to the bot side, the fact that Putney was able to get that double kill early, followed almost immediately by triple kill, really began to seal the fate of Glacial Commandos and really turned that momentum in the favor of Moan1rs here in round 1.
Yeah, once that Vex and that Zeri got going, it was going to be a long way to come back for Glacial Commanders. They had so many things working against them. Vex is just a great champion into all of these dashes, able to just stack up that fear and drop that AoE fear right in the middle, allowing Zeri to come on in, pop the ultimate, not have to worry about any sort of danger, as she just has, the thresh for safety, able to peel her off quite nicely. So all of these options to keep her really safe, as she can come in and do tons of damage. Like the item advantage that Zeri had as this game went on, up 4 items to 1.5 against this Kai'Sa is just not not a fair matchup that you're ever going to want to be playing as the Kaisa for.
Yeah, and the goal differences that we began to see manifest throughout the entire map, although it was the most apparent there in that bot lane, you have to realize that so many players on the side of Moan1rs were just able to get ahead, dish out the damage, and dish out the crowd control that was necessary to stop even the hyper mobile team that we saw Glacial Commandos draft.
Yeah, all of the answers, Silas having having lots of CC, making sure nobody can stealing key ultimates to make sure that nobody can really move, and using that Urgot execute to win out the 2v1, definitely a great play as well. So lots of great individual plays, lots of great team plays to keep Zeri and Vex just rolling throughout the game, and definitely some great execution as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think we're going to be moving on to a little bit of a break here before we go into game two between Moan1rs and Glacial Commandos. For those of you just joining us, we just watched Moan1rs take down Glacial Commandos for the first game with a really interesting draft and some fantastic team fights. So you definitely don't want to go anywhere. Catch the second game, catch to see what the Glacial Commandos are going to be doing to come back, and we'll be right back at you guys with the draft.
Everybody panic! Hold on. I'm about to say something really cool. 3, 41, 9, and lift off! No one dies screaming without me. I feel like I forgot to shoot something. You're starting to bore me. She's such a loser. Always ready to cry. Da-da-da-da. Aw, come on. What's the worst that could happen?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this series between the Moan1rs and Glacial Commandos. This is going to be game 2, and we're already getting some bans coming in. For those of you just joining us, we had Glacial Commandos go down game 1 to Moan1rs on some really fantastic picks in the mid lane and top lane. That Silas and Vex both doing a ton of work, and that's not to mention the Zeri just powering through. How do you think that's going to affect the bans and picks that we see coming through from either side this game, Big Tank?
I mean, I'd like to see Glacial Commanders take away that Zeri or pick it up B1. Both of them are definitely play options, but not allowing that Zeri to go over to the other side is definitely going to be important, not just for the comp, but also for that mental aspect. Not wanting to get blown up by that champion a second time is definitely going to play on the mental. Looks like they're going to go for the ban route, but definitely want to pick some lanes where they're going to feel some confidence, ready to play, shake off game 1. Game 2 always can be your comeback game.
Yeah, most definitely. Kind of sad we're not seeing the salty run back. I thought we were going to get it for a second there, given that all the other bans so far mirror what we saw round 1. But it looks like we're going for that first pick, Diana, on the side of Glacial.
I am excited. This is a Wombo combo initiator champion for a lot of comps. Diana is a strong jungler, can also be played mid lane, but not really right now. But she is a great way to start off, Yasuo comps. She's a great way to lead into possibly like MF ults if you're really looking to wombo or something, or Aphelios blue gun ultimates is a great setup tool for these big, huge engaged comps. So definitely interesting to see what they want to do with this Diana and where they want to take their draft.
Yeah, and Moan1rs going to lock in the Poppy. That was something that we saw Glacial Commandos ban out in the last game. Poppy, as we said before, definitely a big flex pick here. Can go into the top lane, but kind of like Diana, is really finding a home in the jungle right now. And given the fact that we aren't really sure how many dashes we're going to be seeing out of the Glacial Commandos this time, this pick may be a little bit early, but also she's just such a powerhouse and so much fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely a champion who can be a great interrupter, great way to break up anything. And if they're trying to counter what the Glacial Commanders might be looking for that Diana Yasuo combo, trying to find a way through that, as they're not going to pick it up. They're actually going to go Ezreal Karma, a bit of an interesting draft choice. Definitely a more pokey lane that tries to just poke our way through the early games and play a very poke style as the game proceeds. So we'll see how they can transition that with the Diana. But with the Silas picked up, with the Poppy picked up, they have this really great counter engage style where they can sort of just create some space, allow any sort of carries they're going to pick up later in the draft to really have room to shine.
Yeah, and Moan1rs here going to lock in the Silas and the Aphelios. Silas, obviously, a contested pick, going over to their side last game and doing a lot of effective things into the top lane. But as we have noted, both Putney and the top laner Crusader on the side of Moan1rs both play the champion, so there's definitely some flexibility allowed right there. Aphelios also just a fantastic ADC right now. We've been seeing a lot of contestation of it in pro play, and it'll be interesting to see what Play Wars can do on the champion.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. Aphelios has been one of these we win late game ADCs where you pick up some enchanters to go along with it, like a Lulu or a Thresh to keep it safe in the lane, as that is really what Aphelios needs really to get through is that early lane phase. And then once he hits 2-3 items, becomes an absolute monster and impossible to deal with. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get Aphelios through that early lane phase onto that 2-item spike. They were able to do it with Zeri, so definitely going to be interesting to see if they can make Playwars do it on another carry.
And it's also exciting to see Aphelios, just because I think it's kind of a rite of passage for casters now in a way. Trying to talk about those weapons, trying to talk about the 200 years champion himself. Definitely going to be a lot of fun as we move into these big team fights, seeing what that champion is going to be able to do. Moving on to these last few bans, we see the Yasuo and Urgot bans coming out from the side of Moan1rs. Urgot, obviously something that was picked up last game, stripes on that champion for Glacial Commandos. Do you agree with taking that ban right here? Clearly it is the fact that like Glacial did well on the champion, but it was not the win condition. That is definitely for sure.
It may not have been the win condition, but it was one of the bright spots of the comp. It was played very well by Stripes. Very decent pilot job, even through a lot of adversity. Was had potential to make a lot of 1v1, 1v2 outplays. So it was really one of those things that was trying to save the comp. So trying to ban that away, give them options. Also banning away the Yasuo with the Diana open, or Diana already locked in, is definitely a smart choice, as that Diana Yasuo wombo is just something that can melt teams. Doesn't matter how far ahead you are. If they have, any sort of items, that hits you on your carries, you're in for a bad time.
Yeah, most definitely. And finally, the Braum, the last ban of the second game. That is a champion that definitely has the potential to act as a huge protective wall for the Aphelios, for the Silas. But in turn, we're getting the Lulu pickup from the side of Moan1rs. That is a champion that has been the bane of many players' existence for a while now. Even though there have been nerfs coming through, the fact that you have Lulu and a hyper carry in the form of Aphelios is going to be really, really valuable as the game progresses deeper on in. Moan1rs definitely looking for some big team fights late on.
Moan1rs is definitely going to be this huge team fight engine, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do to really make this Aphelios shine. They have lots of tools to protect them. Silas Poppy, Silas having great abilities to steal, like the Diana ulti, so we'll see how that can be played out. Interested to know what that blank square is.
I believe it is a Graves. Glacial Commandos having a little bit of issues right now with draftlol.com. But I believe that that will be a Graves, probably going up into the top lane if Diana is in fact going to be on the jungle. And their final pickup is going to be the Corki. Now it looks like right here at the end, Moan1rs on their last pick. What do you think we're going to be getting into that Graves?
Graves is one of those champions that just deals really well with him on his own. So Irelia making sense is something that might want to try and push the pace. But Graves with the grid is going to be able to just sort of hang out in that top lane, just exist, create a weak side strategy, and just sort of pick up CS. So we'll be interesting to see how that works out for Glacial Commanders. It's more back to the style they want to play, where they just weak side that top laner, allow them just to scale on his own, and just play through the rest of the map.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, there are definitely some flex picks on either side that need to be solidified as we go into the client draft itself. As we said before, for those of you just joining us, that blank space that you see on your screens right there on the side of Glacial Commandos is in fact going to be a Graves. And so what this means is that even though we saw Crusader being the one on Silas last game with Moan1rs, there is the chance that we see the Aurelia going into the top lane and Silas going to mid, Putney also having a lot of experience onto that champion. Given the selections that we see here, that Corki most likely going to go mid on the side of Glacial Commandos, where do you want to see the Silas turn up?
I think Silas is probably going to be best suited into the mid lane. Graves being a very range deal with anybody champion. He's not going to be able to get a whole lot done. Graves is just going to dash away from anything Silas tries to make happen, going to sustain through anything Silas can really do. Irelia has the more chance of being able to jump on and make something happen. So Silas playing into that mid lane, trying to push Corki. Corki's a champion that doesn't like to have anything happen to him early. So Silas more in that matchup can try and make something happen. Whereas into the Graves is just going to shrug him off and not allow anything to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of this early game aggression that we might be seeing on the side of Glacial, we have that Karma, notorious as being a lane bully, especially against someone as squishy as Lulu is in that early game. Karma, obviously, later on is going to become more of a shield bot. But early on in this fight, I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of pushing, a lot of pressure coming through for Glacial Commandos there in the bot side of the map. And if this is the case, how do you think that this is going to affect the pathing that Glacial Commandos decides to go for with that Diana jungle?
Now Diana is probably going to be wanting to look towards that bottom side. Ezreal Karma able to slowly chip away at health bars with the Ezreal Mystic Shot, with Karma Mantra Qs. So trying to chip away at the Aphelios Lulu, trying to slowly whittle them down into a range where Diana can complete a clear, show up on the bottom side, coming either through the lane or down through a proper river gank, comes on in, makes something happen, and starts to snowball that way, allowing Corki to just sort of scale up in the mid lane. Corki, a champion that doesn't really need jungle attention, but does fine with or without it. And, allowing Graves to just sort of hang out on his own in the top lane will be very beneficial as well.
Yeah, most definitely. We are going to start moving here into the client draft, so we'll be getting some confirmation about a lot of these flex picks on either side, and it'll be really cool to see what we have. Most likely, we're going to be getting Poppy regardless of who decides to go into the jungle on the side of Glacial. But for the time being, I think we're just sitting for these bans and just making sure that everything's going to go smoothly, moving on deeper into the game. Now, I always like to do this big tank, especially while we're waiting for people to get back through, kind of catch back up with the client itself. But what do you think we're going to be seeing for the soul this game? Just rolling the dice. You got 1 in 5 shot.
1 in 5 shot on soul. I mean, if I'm feeling it and I want
both of these teams, I want a Hexatech Soul. I like the portals. It's new. It's flashy. It's great. Give me a Hexatech Soul. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, Hextech definitely going to be a lot of fun. One of my favorite things with that still is definitely the cheese that you see people popping right out of the portal into a bush and then immediately getting ganked by 4 or 5 people on the enemy team. As we see the game progress and we see people beginning to kind of line up and move that vision line further and deeper into the enemy side of the jungle, it'll be definitely fun to see what kind of shenanigans people get up to. Now, I'm going to go big here and say that I want the Cloud Soul, just because I think it would be hilarious to watch the amount of speed that Glacial is going to be able to get with that karma, with that E going forward, but also Lulu able to create some amount of chaos, ulting someone on their side in the middle of a team fight, causing a lot of distractions and allowing for a lot of movement. Aurelia also benefiting heavily from that choice.
Yeah, definitely a strong dragon. Not always something strong, but if you have the right team comp, it can really shine, as it looks like we are going to get the Irelia top and Silas mid. So it looks like that's where those champions are going to end up. Putney going to have the Silas and Crusader on the Irelia.
Yeah, honestly, given the fact that we've been seeing the flexibility between Crusader and Putney onto this champion, I'm actually kind of surprised that we didn't see the ban this time around coming from Glacial for Silas. It'll be cool to see how Putney maybe handles and plays the champion differently from Crusader there in the top lane. And also going to be interesting to see how Haitani contrasts with Crusader in terms of their play on the Irelia.
Yeah, definitely want to try and pressure Corki early. Corki is a champion who really wants to play a really neutral lane, wants to just leave the lane, in the middle, maybe slightly towards his side, so he's not in a really gank position. Tries to just quickly push the wave, let it bounce back, not going to try and get ganked. Does have Valkyrie if he gets in a bit of an interesting position, but wants to, let the lane just exist, play it out slowly, just allow himself to scale into those first 2-3 items, and then really start to do a lot of damage with those missiles and just take over the game through that poke damage.
Yeah, most definitely. Poppy, also, something that I want to talk about really quickly is the fact that although she has been seen as a kind of a notorious solo queue pick and also has been showcased in pro play a little bit, the fact of the matter is that everyone comes back to the fact that her early clears are not the fastest in the world. Do you think that this means we might be seeing something like a sneaky invade from the Diana, or perhaps even an exploitation of the slow clearing jungler from the side of Glacial Commandos? And if so, what do you think that's going to look like?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this Poppy works with. There is a decent amount of dashing, so Graves, Diana, Corki, Ezreal, all going to be sort of dash champions. So Poppy trying to make the best out of that, trying to itemize for trying to survive this damage mix, which is going to be a little interesting. So maybe we'll see a pure tank Poppy, definitely wanting to see that HP bar, but lethality Poppy's always a fun time.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that that team probably needs a little bit of tankiness, so I think we're probably going to be seeing a more standard build out of the jungler on the side of Moan1rs. But also at the same time, why not go full squishy? Why not just try to bulldoze everyone on the side of Glacial Commandos, who themselves also don't really have a true tank? Diana, obviously, not really going to be building in that direction, going to trying to act kind of as a burst champion. Graves probably the closest we get to someone that has an amount of durability, and it'll be interesting to see how Stripes decides to itemize that champion. What do you think we're going to be seeing about in this early kind of top lane matchup between Stripes and Crusader?
Now, the probably optimal build here is going to be that life steal sustain build from Stripes on this Graves. It creates a very, very surprising amount of tankiness through that healing with Immortal Shield Blow into Bloodthirster. You get a lot of healing, you get a lot of survivability, and it's really hard to kill that champion with grit for any sort of AD champion. So Irelia and Aphelios trying to make something happen on that is going to be really hard. So Graves is just that champion that's going to try to push out those first couple waves, back early, grab a cull, try to get the wave just sitting right in front of his tower and just farm that out for days. Get on that first 2-3 item spike, and then really try to impact the map from there.
Yeah, most definitely. I love our AD carry, tank, supportive, jungler, invader, fighter, top lane in the form of Graves. What a champion.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's definitely a more innovative strategy that people have been going for, and allows them to, bring this sort of consistent damage, not having to rely on a sort of a tank, as they're able to sort of
sustain through just the lifesteal and, pure grit itself.
Yeah, definitely. And for everyone just joining us, we are about to jump into Game 2 between Glacial Commandos and Moan1rs here in the Aegis Defenders League. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be on a really short break, and we're going to be bringing it right back to you guys with the game itself. Welcome back, everyone, to the Aegis Defenders League. This is Game 2 between Glacial Commandos and Moan1rs. We are going to be getting a little bit of a side swap with Glacial Commandos going to be there on that blue side of the map. We're watching a Kingsland from the Moan1rs right there, just kind of going to a 5-point stance. Looks like a pretty standard game, no real shenanigans this early on. Obviously, for those of you just joining us, we have Moan1rs here going up 1-0 in this set with Glacial Commandos looking to bring this to a faded Game 3. We got 3 of them clustered up here in this pixel bush. Big Tank, what do you think we're going to be seeing out of these opening moments?
Definitely a strong defensive position for Moan1rs, making sure there's no real invade as they're going to move forward here for Glacial Commandos. Not going to land any ability. Looks like it'll just be vision from here on out. And beyond that, not a whole lot taken. But with this vision line being pushed, we'll have that vision to determine where the start will be from the Poppy. So definitely a strong advantage to have, knowing the Poppy is going to be starting most likely on the bottom side here from where they're standing. So we'll be able to base their laning decisions. And speaking of laning decisions, it's Graves mid.
That is not something I was expecting here. That Corki going onto the top side, definitely a little bit of a swap that occurred. Haitani going to go into the top lane, Stripes in that mid lane. And here it looks like we're getting, once again, a pretty big leash on the side of Moan1rs here on the bot side. Both of the champions on either team going to be going for that early game, starting there at the bot, moving up towards top. How do you think that this is going to affect the matchups that we were talking about earlier, that Aurelia now going into a Corki?
It's going to be definitely interesting. Aurelia is going to have that early game agency to try and make something happen in this mid lane. So a bit interesting, or in this top lane now rather. So it'll be interesting to see if that's really something Corki wants to opt into. Bit of an interesting thing to opt Corki into the long lane. Graves really happy to just sustain through it. So interesting choice. to send Corki up there. So we'll see how that works out as they're going to make a play on the bottom side.
Yeah, that's already some big plays coming out right there. Aphelios going pretty low, but First Blood not low enough. Maker going to go down here. Now Charm is alone. Kingsland continue to try to pressure forward here. The Q comes out of the Karma, and now Charm's going to have to run away. There comes a flash coming out here, but with Calibrum in the area, that sniper rifle going to get that last little bit of poke in, and now it looks like this is a dangerous situation for both Play1rs and the Karma. No jungler in the area, unfortunately, to change the fortunes of Glacial Commandos. First Blood going over to Moan1rs.
Yeah, definitely. Aphelios' great dream is to get that first kill early, and now we're going to be able to push up with Gravitum, and we'll be able to make something happen with Calibrum as well, past that long-range CC ability. So we'll see if they can make something happen there, but it is quite low, so might be a little bit of an interesting position to be in.
Wow, Kingsland getting the kill down onto Charm right there. Play1rs was in a dangerous spot for a second, but those shields definitely coming through clutch at the same time. Look at this now. We once again have RNG Maker forced off the wave a little bit, and this is going to be the first wave crashed onto the tower for the side of Moan1rs. Going up 2-0 in that bot side of the map, definitely going to be dangerous. Silas able to get away there. Putney not really too worried about that Diana's attempted gank right there. And now look at this. Play1rs now so confident after the slaying of that Karma, just able to kind of stay there with the Graviton, continue to shove that wave in, get some more money before this back occurs.
Definitely a huge amount of gold going to be in this Aphelios' pocket early on. Definitely a snowball starter there. Going to get Aphelios onto that Noon Quiver nice and early. Actually going to be Pickaxe plus Boot. So interesting pickup there. Must have been a little short of 1300, but we'll be feeling pretty nice on that back. Going to have lots of damage, a little bit of extra evasion. All in the other lanes, it's been a very close brawl. CS is very close. So will be interesting to see how these lane swaps play out for the side of Glacial Commanders, as they have opted into some weird lanes. Corki not going to have a great time proccing a interesting fight in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. Poppy coming in, that WR charged up, but no wall to smash the Graves into right there. And with Charm in the area, kind of staying there on a pretty extended roam away from the bot lane, means that not too much chaos is going to be caused. Meanwhile, up here on the top side of the map, we have Aurelio waiting to receive this big package of minions from the Corki.
Yeah, definitely, what Corki doesn't want to do is extend out this lane. If Irelia is able to hold that wave near the tower, Corki's just left super exposed. Now, Poppy is on the bottom side, knowing that from having seen the Poppy play through mid, probably sees the Poppy exit down towards the bottom side over some wards, so should have some knowledge that he's safe to push this out. And it looks like they're trying to make a play happen on the top side here right now.
Yeah, trash in the area. Crusader going to have to flash right back out of there. No kill, but that is still a crucial summoner spell being gone. And meanwhile, Pod is going to take this opportunity to move towards the bot side. We get the Arcane Shift early coming out of the Ezreal. Now look at this. Charm caught out way too deep now. And Pod's E going to help secure that kill. Play1rs now up 2-0. Bot side of the map definitely going in favor of Moan1rs.
Yeah, this is that huge play from this bottom side, just allowing Play1rs to become this monster. Has great guns now for any sort of fight, and is going to be really strong to mine turrets, to mine champions, to mine dragons, to mine nexuses. He's going to be great if he keeps this going.
Yeah, those chakrams right there going to do a pretty big walloping of damage. 2 plates already off that tower on the bot side of the map. Putney there going to just dash back. This is a game in which you're seeing a lot of Glacial's attempts at ganks across the map just not really panning out super well. They're a little bit too pushed continuously, and because of that, we see punishments coming out from Pod. Trash, meanwhile, just not able to make the same thing happen, even after getting a few things here. And look at this dive coming through here. It looks like Haitani going to go pretty low. Trash is in the area. Can Crusader get out here? Looking for that blast plant, but they are very low. Gonna hit that. Oh, it looks like the camera cut away, but it also looks like the Aurelia somehow getting out of that fight. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, we have that Calibrum coming through, and look at this play where it's just doing so much damage, really beginning to snowball here. That is Karma once again dead. 0-3 for Charm there, and RNG Maker once again very, very low, and we are getting the movement of Pod into the area as well. That dragon going over to the side of Moan1rs. This is a very unfortunate situation for Glacial Commandos.
Yeah, and a clear source of situation for me, it's not going to be Hexatech Soul, because it's going to be Hexatech Drag second, so that's a tragedy. But with the rest of the game going on, it is an Aphelios all-you-can-eat buffet. He is just taking Karma kills over and over and over again, just becoming an absolute monster here, and is going to be farming, or feasting rather, all through this lane, and is going to be back on a lot of nice items.
Basically a 2.3 or 2.6k gold lead for the side of Moan1rs right now. That is a big deficit to overcome only 7 minutes on into this game. Haitani getting a wave crashed up top with the Graves there to shadow just in case any shenanigans go down. But at the same time, Crusader has to be happy having gotten away from that chase from the Diana earlier on.
Yeah, definitely well played there. I really being able to just sneak out there is a huge save for Crusader. Not turning that play into a 1-for-1, able to grow the gold lead here and force the Graves to build some interesting items, not able to go straight into the sort of items you'd expect to the Graves to be building. So it will be interesting to see now that they've switched back into this more standard setup what they're going to do.
Stripes taking the priority, moving back to the top side. Corki now going to go mid against Putney. It is notable that there is a single death on the side of the Corki here, but I don't think that's enough to really unbalance either lane. And I think that this matchup is just generally going to be a little bit more comfortable for Commandos. Haitani gonna have to run away though. Putney already trying to abuse the weak early game of the Corki, and look at that, being pushed right back to tower. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Crusader up that single kill, the beneficiary of that fight from earlier, gonna try to do some pressure onto Graves, but Graves is just such a scary champion. That's a Whiffed ultimate coming through, and now look at this. Charm is in the area, big roam to the top side, W coming down as well as the Ignite. That's a big root. Stripe's gonna be able to get that kill down onto Crusader, putting one onto the board for Glacial Commandos.
And now with this Herald, they can mine a lot of plates here, so this could be a huge gold grab for the side of Glacial Commandos. If they can bring this turret down, it's going to be lots of gold mining these pockets, and into some pretty decent places. If Diana and Graves are able to pick this up, but it looks like the TP comes down, so this could be more of an extended fight than we're thinking about.
Yeah, Pod a little bit too far forward, trying to run over to Putney, but Putney's got some other priorities, trying to get that Graves turned down, and in turn, Trash is going to get the kill. That's 1-for-1 there in the top side of the map. Charm pretty happy with that roam, able to contribute on both of those fights right there, going to mean that they're going to get a little bit of gold back onto them, and it looks like finally they're going to be backing and moving back to help this Ezreal, who now is definitely down about 22 CS. That's definitely a gap widening from here on out. A Kingsland able to play so far forward right now, maybe a little bit too far.
Yeah, but just knows that there's no real punish opportunities with everybody showing on that top side. Knows that there's still a decent timer before anyone can really threaten a counter play. And with guns coming up very nicely here for Aphelios, they should be able to mine away at this turret. So the Herald play is just very nicely answered. Going to mine lots of plates onto this Aphelios, picking up tons of solo gold and allowing him to rapidly build towards his first item.
Yeah, 3 kills, first turret, and every single plate off that tower is going to be monstrously powerful for Play Wrong here and Moan1rs in general. Meanwhile, in the middle, we got some action. Putney going in, Haitani having to fly back quite a bit of ways away, and Charm now in the area just to prevent any more shenanigans occurring under the tower, especially now that Pod has joined Putney there in that mid lane.
Yeah, definitely a great play through this mid lane. It is Corki having a bit of a weak lane phase and is just getting tossed around in both the top and the mid lane. Can't really find somewhere where he can just farm up and scale, as they're going to have a little bit more fighting action around this mid lane.
Yeah, Putney very confident walking up, knowing that the rest of the team is right there, going to get a quick kill down onto Trash and going to get on a rampage right now for the side of the Aphelios. Play Wrong in a hugely commanding position, already has that Gale Force worked out, and now look at the top lane. Stripes getting that W down, trying to prevent any more engaging from Crusader. Crusader definitely beginning to push in, beginning to power spike a little bit here before that first item comes out, but look at this. They may be a bit too far forward as Corki begins to approach the top wave. Stripes continuously pressuring here. Crusader probably a bit too far deep, and look at that package going to come out. They're trying to dash around, trying to dodge as many shots as possible, but Haitani going to get a kill for himself onto Crusader there in the top lane, paying them right back for all that pressure that we saw early on.
Yep, definitely giving some more gold to that top side. Going to be allowing them to get their first turret of the game. And the Hextech Dragon going to go over to the Moan1rs though, so it will be another Ocean Soul as another body.
What was that
hits the
first
floor.
damage?
That was not allowed.
And look at this, we're just going to continue now with the Karma Dead. Maker going down really low, and once again another ultimate coming through for the Aphelios. Pod getting that kill, but that is just showing the power that we're seeing coming out from the bot lane of Moan1rs now. Playwars is in an almost incontrovertibly strong position. It's going to be very, very difficult for Commandos to find a way back into this one.
Yeah, finding a way to pick off the Aphelios here is going to be very hard. He has survival tools, and he's got some great teammates here.
Yeah, and there we go. Pod showing what a great teammate they are, walking to that top side of the lane and securing a kill for the Crusader with that E into a wall. Graves seeing stars after that one, being sent back to base. And now look at this. We're about 4 minutes away from the next dragon spawning, and therefore with no neutral objectives on the map, we're just seeing every team jockey for position here, but Moan1rs just having so much priority across the map, just kind of picking up kills wherever they find them.
Yeah, this is, Moan1rs really starting to pick apart the map, trying to mine away at what is still these plated turrets, as it's only 13 minutes in, and they're going to have another fight in this mid lane.
Yeah, look at this. Aphelios not really on the best guns right now, but gonna quickly get over to the Severum and Gravitum now, and look at this. Diana gonna walk in, try to find an ultimate. Unfortunately, that is going to be a Gale Force away, allowing for a dodge of that huge play. And look at this, they're still alive. There comes the ultimate out. Now Playforce going down a little bit of health, but that Lulu just doing so much to work on the shields and heals, and it looks like that's ultimately going to lead to a disengage. There is Putney in the area if they want to try something later on, but for the time being, Playforce is gonna collect his paycheck and move back towards the base.
Definitely strong play here. They're going to try and make a chase down happen, but it doesn't look like they're getting too much. They'll chase Putney away here shortly, I'm sure. Just a few more ultimates, back canceling, but not probably too much action. Maybe not. Putney is getting a little aggressive.
Yeah, that is quite a long stay for a single person against 4, but it's starting to show the dominance coming through of Moan1rs here. Look at how chaotic that was. Just a single person continuously stopping backs, continually allowing for pokes and pressure onto this inner turret in the mid lane. Glacial Commando is definitely going to have to pull out all the stops right here to try to make something happen.
Yeah, now it will be Poppy burning the Predator there to try and make something happen. Not going to be able to commit, as the wave was burned pretty easily by Ezreal, so won't be able to get into that bottom lane. But it is a solid lead across the map for Moan1rs. 2-0 in the mid, 5-0-2 in the bottom lane, and Irelia is still 2-2, has hit that Bork spike, so he's going to be very strong to be on those solo side lanes assignments, try and just push out waves and keep the Graves under control, not allow him to just sit in a side lane and farm for free.
Yeah, most definitely. And while it is the case that we expected Moan1rs to have a little bit more early game dominance versus Commandos, I think that we weren't expecting this level. And look what that's turning into. Already 2 drags to the side of Moan1rs, and they're basically looking to probably try to take that topside Rift Herald here right before the next dragon spawns. And look at this, top side of the map, we got 2 pressuring there. Trash not really able to do much, originally trying to maybe look for an engage onto the Lulu, but nothing really coming out of it. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, we're beginning to see Stripes fall behind Crusader in terms of tempo. That's a lot of damage and a lot of aggression we're seeing out of that Aurelia there.
Ooh, Trash could be in an interesting position with those 3 there, but looks like he will be able to walk it off, most likely.
Yeah, that route from the Calibrum going to kind of be big. It's going to allow for Pod to try to walk in further, but unfortunately just not going to reach that in time. But with so many people overloading that top side of the map, like I was saying before, here comes the Rift Herald going down onto the side of Moan1rs, who have already taken so many towers from the Glacial Commandos. And meanwhile, here, Putney maybe caught out a little bit. Haitani going to try to pressure them with the Angry Showerhead and a few rockets going their way. But in the meantime, Crusader going to come right back through. And now look at this. Stripe's going to be in trouble here. We do have Diana coming down here, and this may be a bit of an overextension. Crusader trying to get 1 kill before going down themselves, but that ultimate coming out from Stripes going to seal Crusader's fate. But in turn, we do see the Rift Herald being secured by Pod on the side of Moan1rs.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a good trade there if you are the side of Glacier, as they're able to pick up a little bit of extra gold. They're not giving up a whole lot. Second Herald isn't a huge objective to give away, especially when all of your tier 1s are already down. So Herald trying to attack these tier 2s is going to be more of an interesting play. You're really going to have to push for it anyways. Now with Ocean Dragon spawning, this is again that quick stack to soul like we saw last game. So we want to see maybe some more contesting from the side of Glacier Glacier, but they really need to make something happen here before this gets out of hand.
Yeah, most definitely. That is another uncontested dragon, unfortunately, going over to Moan1rs here. Once again, definitely in the driver's seat this game around. We're probably going to be seeing after this back a big push with that Rift Herald, trying to get it lane down to a point of vulnerability where the Baron becomes inevitable. If it is the case that Moan1rs is able to pull off such a play, I think we're going to be seeing a very quick game 2 here.
Definitely, there is a path to a very quick play for the Moan1rs to just sort of choke the Glacial Commandos out of this game, but it's going to take some very quick plays that work out in succession. Getting these backs off, coming down towards either the mid lane, most likely potentially the bottom lane, to try and draw some pressure away, and then trying to quickly take a turret. And, well, Lulu must be waiting for an item there as they're placing down a lot of wards, but for them, as they will move on out onto the map. But if they can take down either the mid tier 2 or the bot tier 2 to create pressure on the bottom side of the map, that can very easily lead into a Baron, especially if they're able to find a pick. They can really quickly move that onto a Baron, but it looks like someone else might be getting picked off here.
Yeah, Pod a little bit too far forward, not realizing that there was a ward in that bush just going to be kind of jumped upon by the entirety of Glacial Commandos, hungry for a kill. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, though, Crusader definitely in the driver's seat for that one, going to get a kill down onto Stripes and being able to run away from the turret with just a sliver of health. But look what this is turning into. It's going to be a huge fight in the mid lane, 3 versus 4, but it doesn't matter. Playwars is dominating as they take down the Corki, and now look at this, both super low as they move past the tower, a double kill coming through. Karma also there, more than evening up the fight. Putney also a terror in his own right, pushing forward past that tower, getting more harassed down onto the very low forms of Maker and Trash. You're just gonna have to run all the way back to base.
The only thing that Moan1rs are sad about is that there's no Baron to take as a prize. Baron is still a minute away, but they will take down that mid tier 2 that was very key to having the pressure. They're going to need to take that objective. So if they can take away this bot tier 2 as well, they'll have access to all sorts of this bottom side jungle. With the top tier 2 going down as well, they're going to have access to the entire jungle of the Glacial Commandos, and with that they can just sort of push that vision line and really look for this Baron play in about 30 seconds.
Yep, and we still have Herald in the hands of Poppy. Pod obviously not able to drop that mid to help that push after being caught out in the enemy side jungle. Now going to be playing a little bit further back with the team, and they may be looking for yet another fight right here. Just trying to get something going so we can get that Herald down in a crucial position for Moan1rs.
Definitely want to use that to possibly create pressure for this Baron. Even if the Herald is just dropped off in the mid lane to force the side of Glacier Commandos to push the Herald out. It's going to give them time to start up the Baron, to set up their wards, to really create this death area where they can protect the Aphelios and make something happen.
That Gale Force and that damage right there. Playwars going legendary, just basically unstoppable. You can't leave anyone alone in a lane with him anymore. He's just going through and ransacking basically everyone that he encounters. And that death of Maker may be enough for Moan1rs right here to just take that Baron.
Yeah, they have the global they need for Myrelia, going to be able to TP to that and not be matched by Stripes. So they have the globals they want. They have the Herald going down mid to create pressure. So it's going to be an interesting fork here. What are they going to give? What are they going to take?
Yeah, Trash trying to go in for the hero play right now with 3 behind them right now. Pod also going to go a little bit low with that Baron shred, allowing for them to like survive a little bit longer, not taking as much damage from the side of Moan1rs. But look at this now, Corki being chased back. Putney, huge right now, has the Corki ultimate, and is just going to jump right on top of them with that grab. And look at this, Charm also being chased into the top side of the map. Playwars going to take them down as well. They may have reset the Baron, but it's costing the lives of Glacial Commandos in the bot side of the map here. We see Crusader take down the Graves, and look at this, with only 2 people alive, Glacial Commandos is just going to have to give as the re-engage onto the Baron begins for Moan1rs.
Yeah, but now they might get a pick on the bottom side, but this could be interesting here.
Yeah, Crusader may just be 1v9ing this game right now, though. Diana's going to go down, Maker as well, a double kill and an ace coming through for Glacial Commandos. That last chance Hail Mary, trying to at least kill one person on the side of Moan1rs, just ending disastrously for them. It is now 5-20, a massive gold lead, more than 12k coming through for Moan1rs, and they're going to look to end the game with this newly secured Baron.
Yeah, they have a quick access to this Ocean Soul. They're sending Poppy and Aphelios down there, mirror that down real quick. And with this gold lead, with this Baron, this is probably the death march. You're going to see inhibitor turrets quickly turn to rubble. The inhibitor's not too far behind that. And the Nexus in the sights of Moan1rs. Glacial Commandos is going to have to make a miracle play happen, but they have the tools. They have Diana ulti. They have Ezreal ulti. They have these tools to make clutch plays. They're just going to have to find a way to pop this Aphelios, still deathless, collect that huge bounty, and try to make something happen before they're just going to be bled dry by this massive team fight bonanza.
Most definitely a poke here, a poke there, get people low, and maybe go for a one-shot ultimate engage is basically going to be the best hope for Glacial Commandos. We've basically been seeing from now on that without 3 people on champions like the Aurelia, you basically can't pick anyone off this team. The damage output from Putney, from Play Wars is just so incredible, and Crusader up there in that top lane continuously splitting, drawing so much pressure, and oftentimes just fighting right through that pressure. It's going to be a huge uphill struggle from here on out for Glacial Commandos, as it looks like we're beginning to be getting a bit of drama in that topside jungle. Playwars playing by himself there, trying to take down that tower with the help of the minions and his little turrets. Look at that, Diana ulti coming through. This may be the pick that they needed. Putney going to go golden, and now look at this. We have Kingsland in the area, dropping the ultimate onto him. He has enough resilience, though, and with that big tool down, Glacial Commandos is going to be in trouble. They definitely need to get a pick right there with that ability from Diana.
Yeah, definitely was a bit of a missed opportunity, really needing that pick to go their way. But now the siege is going to commence from the side of Moan1rs. They're going to take down the bot inhibitor turret. They're going to work their way to mid, and they're just going to slowly tear this base apart. So the Glacial Commander is going to have to find their time to fight, and they're probably going to want to do it underneath those Nexus turrets before they fall for that extra damage. But even then, it's going to be an uphill battle all the way to the finish line.
Yeah, most definitely. It looks like Moan1rs, instead of trying to just end through those 2, well, Crusader seems to have a different opinion, but I was going to say they were all moving top, but Crusader drawing so much pressure right here, allowing for them to kind of steamroll through. Look at this. They're trying to approach. Corki very much caught out now. Haitani in a lot of trouble here. We get the flash engage. Pele Wars going to help get the kill. Pod being the ultimate slayer, though, of that Corki, and now look at this. Crusader doing so much damage, helping to shut down Maker as well. It looks like Graves is going to be unstoppable. That's 2 kills. This is probably the end of the game right here, with Glacial Commandos going down 2-0 versus Moan1rs.
This is the the final march. The Nexus turrets are not long for this world, and the Nexus not too far behind. And this is going to be a very aggressive, very well played game from the Moan1rs, as they're going to take this series, going to take down their last little couple kills, and the Nexus is going to fall for them here.
Glacial Commandos putting up quite the fight, but unfortunately too many mistakes early on led to monstrous champions on the side of Moan1rs. It just seemed that they couldn't get a play going. No real great ganks coming out from Trash on the Diana there. Just led to the fact that on the other side of the map, you have Pod on Poppy running around and popping people wherever they go. Look at that record at the end there. 9-0-5 onto that Aphelios. So what a nightmare. They were getting to the end game very early on into that game. And when you contrast with that amount of damage that you saw coming out of the bot lane from Glacial Commandos this time around, there just was no comparison. It was very, very difficult for Commandos to even have a shot after that game reached the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, Aphelios just got way too far ahead, way too early for there to ever be a real doubt that this was going to be the end result. When Aphelios gets that far ahead, gets to hit those benchmarks, those benchmark items really early on, able to have that Gale Force, start building more and more items to bring up that damage, to really bring up his, DPS as this main carry, and has all these tools to really stay alive. Lulu was the, unsung hero of this game. You might see that Aphelios damage just off the charts, but it's that Lulu just able to really help him navigate the fights, keep him alive, and really help to make sure that Aphelios was never truly in any danger past the 15-minute mark. That really makes sure that Aphelios can carry this game all the way to the end result.
Yeah, most definitely. And when we look at these damage charts, another person to talk about as a dark horse on the side of Moan1rs is that Poppy. As we said before, the amount of ganks that they were able to get off early, making up for the fact that their slow clear just frankly didn't matter after a certain point. Diana obviously doing more damage and getting some of that early pressure going, but that didn't really translate into the leads on the people you wanted to see. Corki, for instance, just never really got the chance to scale given how precipitously the game began to crash down on them following that 15-minute mark, following the fact that they got to soul point so quickly there. In both games, Moan1rs showing fantastic control of the objectives early.
Yep, just had great dragon control. Even around heralds, we're only giving them when they were taking something on the other side of the map. So had great play around objectives, just melting turrets, picking away anybody who tried to step too far into their zones of control, and really just made sure there was never really an opportunity for any sort of 50-50 steal. Even when Diana goes for that last chance steal, there's just no option. Poppy just instantly ults her out, makes sure there's no chance of a 50-50, and no chance of really throwing the game away.
Yeah, most definitely. Aphelios is also able to kind of free farm even before laning phase ended. Charm going down several kills to that champion really early on. Just a disastrous set of plays kind of occurring in the bot lane. Occasionally we would have Diana come into the area, try to initiate some sort of fight, but what that ultimately turned into was just Aphelios wiping the board of even more people. And unfortunately, what you saw from that was just a huge steamroll of a game. But this is not to say that there weren't bright spots on the side of Glacial Commandos. I do like the creativity of going for that lane swap early on, even if it wasn't as successful as they may have hoped. I think that it shows the fact that they were willing to act resilient. They were communicating with one another and trying to get something set up, especially getting that Graves there into the mid of the map kind of allowed for roams, kind of allowed for them to try to go for early Rift Heralds, things of that nature. And even though you didn't really see that get traded back really fantastically, I think that we're going to be seeing Commandos continue to develop from here on out and continue to produce real bangers of games going forward within the Aegis Defenders League.
Yeah, definitely some interesting draft strategy, some definite choices, and would love to see them start to develop upon these and build some interesting strategies out of what they've shown here. And really want to see them continue to grow these ideas they're willing to play out. They're, taking a lot of different looks at the game, a lot of different looks at some strategies. So it would be really interesting to see how they can make these plays work, how they can shift up these comps to find those great matchups to put these players in and really start to allow these members to shine.
Yeah, definitely. For those of you just joining us, we have unfortunately come to our end of the broadcast right here in the Aegis Defenders League. This time we saw Moan1rs go up 2-0 versus Glacial Commandos in some real huge plays coming through. Please go back and watch the VOD. I think that you won't be disappointed. Incredible plays on both sides of the map, and it was a real treat to watch it broadcast for you all. I'm Nyarko LOL on Twitter, and I'm here with Big Tank tonight.
Big Tank, that's me. And yeah, it's been a great series, and hope to see y'all around here.